Since I like going back and listening to my old thoughts, I'm currently in the process of re-uploading some of my older videos in order to make them more compliant with YouTube's policies on reused content. But since I didn't want to do a lot of editing, here is the audio from my original review for this movie.
A mercenary who has nothing to lose is hired to rescue the kidnapped son of an imprisoned crime lord. But when his mission turns deadly, he begins to realize that this kid is sought after by a lot more people than he originally thought. Chris Hemsworth plays mercenary Tyler Rake, and he is the biggest name in this cast. Extraction takes place in India, which is a nice change of pace from a lot of other forgettable action movies, but that does mean that the actors involved here have Indian names, and I would likely embarrass myself by trying to pronounce them. Suffice it to say that while I am happy to see a diverse cast in an action film, the acting isn't exactly Extraction's strongest quality anyway, so I'll just skip over that. David Harbour is also in this movie, but not for long. The kid who plays Ovi, the son of the crime lord, is fine, and Chris Hemsworth himself is okay. He doesn't talk much, he's very brooding, and everything we learn about his character is rather predictable. There's a reason why he has nothing to lose and why he fights so hard to protect this kid. So even though the entire narrative hinges on the relationship between Tyler and Ovi, said relationship is rather thin. You don't really connect with either of them because you don't really learn much about them, other than some surface level qualities. And that made the story in Extraction hard to care about. For me at least. While it does feel good to see another 2020 film, this movie did nothing for me. I thought it was predictable, mostly forgettable, and a slog to get through. Extraction really gets bogged down by its own story. It wants to feel important, which is why the material is taken so seriously, but the overly serious story just gets in the way of what is actually good about this movie, which is the action. The action in Extraction is outstanding, damn near mesmerizing. Every fight scene and action set piece is beautifully choreographed. If you hear anyone talking about this film, they're most likely going to be talking about the action. It's really some top quality stuff. It may also be a bit gratuitous since the film is clearly going for a bloody and violent R rating, but the blood and violence really makes for a raw and visceral experience. The action is, quite frankly, the saving grace of this movie, because it gives the film a jolt of much needed energy. Everyone seems to be talking about this one single tracking shot in the film which highlights a sequence of non-stop action, but I thought the scene was okay. It's good, but I thought it was pretty easy to tell where the cuts were hidden or where CGI was implemented. It's still an effective scene, but I think I've been pretty spoiled with single-take action shots found in The Raid, Daredevil, and 1917. But the action is all Extraction has going for it. There's nothing else in the movie that stands out. Compared to The Raid, Daredevil, or 1917, where I actually care about the characters in their respective stories, which makes the action scenes feel more dramatic because they raise the stakes for the characters involved. But I don't care about Tyler Rake or Ovi, so the journey they embark on together is boring. It doesn't matter how many distractingly fun action set pieces are thrown in their way. A lot of people have been comparing Extraction to John Wick, and I think that's a pretty fair comparison. Both films feature a director with a background in stunt coordination, and you can tell. Every gun-fu shootout or hand-to-hand combat scene in either film feels like it has a certain sense of weight. It feels real, making the entire movie have this authentic sense of gritty realism. However, I think this comparison only highlights how superior John Wick is to Extraction. John Wick has a simple story behind it. Someone kills John Wick's dog, a dog which reminds him of his late wife, so he goes on a killing spree seeking revenge against the asshole who wronged him. That story is short, sweet, and to the point, and Extraction should have had a similar narrative. Tyler Rake has to extract this kid in India, and bad guys get in his way. But the plot is so dense, it features so many unnecessary side characters and plot threads that the simplicity of the narrative gets lost. When the bullets aren't flying, Extraction is such a dull film, and despite being just under 2 hours, the movie feels overly long. I found myself constantly checking the time to see how much more of the film I had to sit through. Slapping the name Russo brothers on a movie is clearly not enough for me to become invested with a project. It doesn't matter how many absolutely fantastic Marvel movies they're involved with, if they are not in the director's chair, then I don't care enough to see the film. I don't think anyone went to go see 21 Bridges, so it'll be interesting to see how many people end up seeing this movie. But I understand how marketing works. I just think it's important to note that Extraction was helmed by a first-time director named Sam Hargrave. And for his directorial debut, Extraction isn't that bad. I think Hargrave may have a bright directing career ahead of him. I just thought this movie specifically, brilliant action set pieces aside, was rather boring. I've seen a lot of people compare the action here to The Raid 2, and they should just fucking stop it. The Raid 2 is one of, if not the best, straight-up action films of all time, and Extraction is just a pretty forgettable Netflix movie. But your enjoyment of the film may just depend on your mentality. If you are an action junkie and you've been dying to see a new action movie, especially since there is a lack of blockbusters right now, Extraction may just scratch that itch for you. But if you're looking to see a good film, Extraction will disappoint. The narrative is a slog, the plot is predictable, the characterizations are thin, and there's nothing emotionally resonating about the connection the two main characters are supposed to have. Because, aside from the action, this movie doesn't really have anything else to offer. And it's because of that I would likely give Extraction 2.25 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching.